A genre of games that can always be fun is the beat 'em up, and there's a brand new one called Zheros out on the PlayStation 4. But does this space beat 'em up have enough in it to be worth your time, or is this one beat 'em up that just leaves you with a black eye? Zheros is a single-player or co-op beat-em-up featuring two playable characters that are part of the Zheros squad. The more buff and brutal Mike, and then the more quick and nimble Captain Dory. Both characters have a few different qualities to them, and a mix-up of their various different combos of light and heavy attacks, along with a special weapon that they can unleash on their enemies, as well as a shield to deflect some enemy attacks. The game does have a bit of a plot to it, with the evil Dr. Vendetta trying to turn people into his evil robot minions, and the Zheros are sent, of course, to stop him. There are some cutscenes here and there to introduce new enemies and a little bit of the plot, but it's all done through pretty much pantomiming with no actual real spoken dialogue of any kind. Your goal is to go through each level beating up series after series after series of Dr. Vendetta's evil robots. You usually get a cluster of 3 to 6 of these robots to beat up, and once they're defeated, you'll be able to move through the barrier that was once there and keep on going the level and then beat up the next group of robots. You're going to be seeing the same enemies on repeat for almost the entire length of the game. Sure, there are a few new and more powerful enemies introduced here and there throughout the course of your journey, but there is not a whole lot of variety when it comes to the enemies that you're going to be facing. There was a surprising number of combos for each of the characters, with different combinations of square and triangle that can be mixed up when you're on the ground or in the air or running at your opponents that kind of mix up the battles a little bit. But a lot of times it just came down to button mashing the basic attack over and over again, or whatever combo you end up finding works best for you in whatever situation. Most of the time, once I got one combo down, I just kept doing that, as it just seemed to keep on working as I made my way through the levels. There is a few things here and there to break up the gameplay a little bit. There is some platforming, but honestly it just comes off more as awkward and not polished as far as being able to run and make certain leaps and jumps, and being sometimes really hard to actually tell where you're about to jump to and judging how far you're able to jump with your character. Without running, your character basically jumps like an anvil without being able to get much air whatsoever, and a lot of times there are small platforms, so gaining that momentum from running can be rather difficult. There's also robots that you'll be able to man and beat up enemies for a period of time, but once you're getting really the hang of it and really enjoying mowing down enemy after enemy with the robot, it ends up running out of batteries and you're forced to get out and walk on foot again and continue the monotonous beat 'em up action that you've already been doing for the past while. Each level of the game has a collectible for you to search out and find, as well as there is the leveling up. Not only do you get to power up your strength as well as add new combos to your arsenal, you do get to power up the shield as well as the gun. The gun is used by holding down the R2 button, and it's a little bit hard to control. Sometimes you don't end up hitting what you want to, as it is an auto-aim system, and you have a separate meter underneath your health that controls that as well as your shield. The health works a bit weird, as you actually kind of have like 2 health bars that end up flashing in and out when you end up taking damages, and sometimes it was actually confusing to tell exactly how much health I ended up having during certain areas. I'm not sure if this was just a glitch, or it was just something that is part of the game. From the technical side of things, other than a little bit of clunkiness when it comes to the overall platforming, as well as just the monotony that is the overall beating up the same robots over and over again, everything pretty much did run smoothly. I will say the load times are pretty bad, especially getting into the game for the first time. In fact, I thought the game froze as it just stood at 4% for a long period of time before finally the game actually started to go. Once you're in a level, there is no loading time, but getting into those levels and between levels is a bit of a long load. Other than that, though, there wasn't crashing or slowdown, and there was just the occasional minor glitch here and there. One time my character kind of got stuck in a spiral while I was on an elevator and just kept spinning and spinning as the elevator ended up ascending. Overall, the music was pretty good that went along with the action. It kind of dies down in between fights, and once you get into the next battle, it ends up bringing you right into that action and combat feel, and there was some good music that went along with it, but I wouldn't say that it was anything spectacular. While the game will take you a few hours, there's 3 difficulties for you to conquer with easy, normal, and hard will definitely give you a challenge, that is for sure, as you're going through, as it is hard to dodge a lot of the more powerful enemies' attacks since your shield doesn't end up working. A lot of the time you're just kind of running around waiting for that opportunity and opening to sneak in and deliver a few hits. The problem is, will you end up getting bored before you get to the more challenging and later levels, just because you are seeing the same backgrounds and the same set pieces and the same enemies so many times within the first hour of playing? Many gamers may end up just yawning and falling asleep before they get to the second world. Some may say that of course it's a beat 'em up, so it's gonna be repetitive, but there are ways to make it feel less of a grind, add variety of enemies, throw in some really cool and epic bosses. Not that the game doesn't have a boss here and there, but by the time you get to them, they end up really not being anything that special. Changing up things like the set pieces and the level designs and just making them look interesting or creative can definitely add a lot, even if you don't change up the enemy variety, which Z-Heroes ended up failing to do. The game does feature the same system multiplayer, which is a nice plus, but there is no online. The game's rated E10, with only kind of the cartoony little violence of beating up robots, no blood or gore, so this may be a little fun beat 'em up you could play along with your kid if you have one, or kids may end up having some enjoyment here and there in small doses with the game, but for die-hard beat 'em up fans, it ends up being just okay at best. Z-Heroes is available on the PlayStation 4 for $9.99, and in the end, I'm going to be giving it a 5 out of 10. But anyway guys, that's gonna wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course I hope you enjoyed.